Now, bam.
Hi guys, hello. Welcome back for another episode of I to I, okay? Inspire to influence, okay? So today on the agenda, we have the beautiful Dazzlin here. Say hello, Daz. Hello.
Hi.
Say hi for the camera.
Hi, can you see me?
Yes, we can see you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. I mean, usually I see myself on the bigger screen, so I don't see me. That's why I'm asking to make sure everybody can see. But anyways, welcome to another episode of I to I. I am here today with the lovely Lady D3, and we have today a special guest with us that will be discussing Black History Month with us, which Lady D will introduce you guys in just a quick few seconds. So I just want to tell you guys how we are very appreciative of you joining us. Continue to like, share, subscribe, comment. We look forward to all of it. And we are delighted once again that you are here with us today. So today we have a very, very significant and very important topic to discuss. We're in the month of February, and it is nearing the end of Black History Month. So a lot of you guys in America know what Blacks went through in the country and what Black history means, how it came about. But at the same token, a lot of you guys don't, because maybe you migrated from other countries that probably never discussed the racism, the backlashes, the segregations, and all those negativities that Americans felt here. A lot of other people that I know from like maybe Africa look at Americans here like they are displaced within reasons, right? So everybody's still trying to find their niche, their everything. So just to jump back into a quick history to give you guys a quick synopsis, Black history started basically when Europeans came to America with trades, with slave trades, right? And so they, what year was that? I want to say 16th, 17th century when all of that begun. And they were, it started in California. So they started slaving from there. And then it went up to the north. And then the north, I'm not really sure how the story went through. I should have paid more attention in Black history class, but thank goodness we have Miss Lisa with us today. So if I missed any parts, she might be able to bring me back on point. But in any case, it was a slave ship with thousands of slaves that came up over here. So they brought them over basically to work plantations, crops, you know, all of that good stuff for the most part. And then by 1776, I want to say the population of Blacks were about 20% in the north. So that means we've always really been around in big numbers. And then at that time, you had the 13 colonies, which were then called the United States at the time, from Virginia or whatever. They had a war. It was called the American Revolutionary War. So that blacked out or stopped or abolished slavery in the north. But what was happening is the South wasn't beat. They were still having slavery. So some of the South slaves heard about the North slaves being freed. So they wanted to go to the North section to get freed too. And how they were doing that was through the Underground Railroad, which we all know came about from our good friend.
Our good
Who's
sis.
gonna guess it?
Harriet Tubman.
Bam! Bam! First time, bam! So that was her main thing. That's what she was known for. And we are, I guess, grateful. If you were in the South, you would be grateful that there was the hideaway or a little cheap track where you can get to the free slaves. So anyways, the South still wasn't beat with them being free or leaving and everything. So they started another war. It was called the American Civil War. So between the North and the South, at that time, that's when President Abraham Lincoln stepped in and be like, you know what? Now we're done with all of that. North and South, done. No more slavery. The South was still upset about that. And they decided to make life a living hell, I guess, for those free slaves in the South by lynching, causing segregation, racism. Everything just kept on kicking in. And I think that's about the point where Martin Luther King came up too. So all that brought up new stuff to stop racism. And in a nutshell, that's how it all started and somewhat not quite really ended in America today. So with that being said,
that was like how many years of history and just like
literally like I give the best synopsis. This is why you gotta get educated for yourself because
it's fine.
My version was crazy. So without further ado, so what we'll do is we're just gonna have discussions amongst ourselves. You guys know how we do, and then just to enlighten ourselves too, because we're all Black and we're gonna always be Black, and I'm okay with being permanently Black and proud. So we are going to continue with that discussion. Yes, power to the people. And Lady D3, why don't you introduce our guest so we could get the cracking?
Okay. So today, guys, we have a very, very, very special guest, Miss Lisa Loyal Boyd. I just love her name, Lisa Loyal Boyd. That sounds expensive.
Fidelity.
So Miss Lisa Loyal Boyd was born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. She lives in Union County for the past 25 years. So she lived there for 25 years. Talked about loyalty. It's in her name too. A mother of two sons, Eric and Corey, a volunteer at a domestic violence organization called Sophia in Montclair, New Jersey. So without further ado, Miss Lisa Loyal Boyd, if you can introduce yourself to our audience.
Hello, everyone. As she said, yes, I'm Lisa Loyal Boyd. I do have two sons, Eric and Corey, which my son, Corey told me I had to give him a shout out. He's a chef. He's called Chef Corey on Instagram, Chef Corey B on Instagram.
Okay.
Shout out to Chef Corey.
What does he make?
Chef.
Right.
So if you Instagram Chef Corey B, you will see his whole, his whole resume. He did a lot of celebrity cooking. So you'll see it all up there.
Wow. Okay, go ahead, Chef Corey. And on that note, before D2 gets jealous, we're going to give him a shout out too. Shout out to D2 behind the scene who always gets on our cases. But I know there's a lot of love. So, Lisa, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. And basically, I'm glad that you are on board with us because I wanted to get a perspective from an African-American person living in America. How has it been to be Black in America? Because I'm Black, but I'm from the island, so our mindset is slightly different. Not only am I from the island, I'm from the island that already got their freedom, years ago. So we've been freed, so we're not really entrapped in that mindset, I want to say. So our thinking is different. So how is it being Black in America? What do you see or make, or what's your take?
Well, my take on it is from me being here and born here, as I've gotten older, it seemed like, how they say, society have changed. Because when I was born in the 60s, and I was somewhat little when it was going through the riots and everything that was going on. But I've noticed the change where that when I went to school, yes, we didn't have Black history. We didn't have American history because, it was all, as they would say, Caucasian history. You know what I'm saying? But I can say, growing up and going through grade school, we did celebrate a lot of the Black history. And it's so strange that looking at the times now, they don't focus that much in Black history like it used to be. And I think it comes back to us as Americans. We don't have, what word did I want to, unity. Where that back in the day, in the 60s and the 70s, you had a lot of unity, like say when you had Malcolm X, you had Martin Luther King, you had the Black Panthers, you had more leadership back then than you got now. And it just seemed like the African American leadership is diminishing from where that it was back in, let's say, the 60s and 70s. And I'm going to even say the 80s, because I've called some of my friends who worked in the school systems. That's why I sent you those pictures to see what their schools was doing for Black history. And it's just so strange that it's only like a handful of information in the schools, and where that when I was, it was never like that. So that's where I see the transition from back in the 60s to now, that there's really no strong unity of us being here in America. But at the same time, not only we are looked at different among the Caucasians, I've noticed that we are looked different at some of the, let's say, some of the people that's from Africa. And I've noticed that with some of the people that they look down on us because we didn't really come from Africa. But at the same time, depending on where you're going, you want to be considered as being, let's say, African American. But the same way that you get some of the white men that look at us different, sometimes we getting some of the same people from Africa that's looking at us different. And you can't feel, or you can't be mad at us, because when our ancestors came over, they decided to stay here. They didn't go back to their roots. So that's the difference that I see.
And I think you just said an important part too, where the Blacks that migrated here or got brought over on the slave ships here, they were mostly from Central West Africa, you know? And I want to say, because we were here for such a long time, our tribal roots got, what's the word I'm looking for? Like,
Lost.
we don't know. Yeah. It's lost. We don't know that. So all we know is whatever was taught
got
to us at that point. So we have all the religions. We have, like, we don't have anything that we do, to the point that when we see one of us doing it, we look at them like they're an outsider or an outcast, or you look like, I don't know, you're hooked into something like spirits, or, you know, like you look at it negatively, when in fact that was your original roots in the first place anyways. Now let me ask you this: why do you think that we have a lack of Black leaderships now?
Because you know what, I think my opinion, I'm going to say my opinion, is that you get a lot of leaders now, it's all about, let's say, a money thing, in my opinion. Where that, let's say, I've noticed, like now, if you go down Newark, downtown Newark, if you look at all what's coming up downtown Newark, why didn't you do that for us when all those Black people was there? Now you're getting the majority of the Caucasians down there, and now they doing it all up. To me, they making it convenient for them. And some of the Black leaders are more like, how much money you can put in my pocket, or those backdoor meetings. Because my thing is, I do security at one of Shaquille O'Neal buildings on Rector Street. And we ain't never had no light rail that pick up down there that takes us from, let's say, downtown Newark to Penn Station. If you wasn't on Broader Market getting on that bus, you walked out. It's like, to me, a lot of, not all the leaders, well, there is some good ones out here, but it's like now it's more about how much money I can put in my pocket, or what can you give me if I give you that?
Right, they're basically puppets, in other words. Like, I don't see any Martin Luther Kings, you know, like people who's fighting for our equal rights. I got the last Black person I want to say that was significant was probably Obama. After Obama, I don't know who has taken up his...
Actually, it's like Jesse Jackson was good. Sharpton, you know what? Even though long time ago, as they say, Reverend Sharpton, when they looked at him long time ago, it was like, and I'm not gonna lie, because at one time I'm like, oh, he just talked too much. But now as I've gotten older and see that he is really here for us African Americans and our rights, but there's like you said, there's no Martin Luther Kings, there's no Jesse Jackson.
We don't have enough.
there's not even no Sharp. There's no Reverend Sharp. There's really none. And then when you do get a leader in, he's like good in the beginning. And then I'm gonna say it seemed like when they start having those backdoor meetings with the opposite race, it's all like, okay, I'm gonna give you 5 things, but can I get this one? And I think
that's one of our problems. So we don't know how to negotiate. Like, if you run up, I mean, if you link up with with somebody in the White House, I don't think we have negotiation powers to say this is what we want in return. I think that's probably one of our aspects that we should probably focus on. But Danny, do you have any questions? Because I wanted to ask you, what do you feel about being a Black Caribbean person in America? And we probably have to make this quick. We're running out of time already.
I mean, what I feel about it is that, especially as a youth, like I see a lot of like young teenagers and people my age, and they just want to start back those footsteps again of like Martin Luther King. Like I see them wanting to do it, but one thing that's also keeping them is that now it's getting a little bit more violent. Like it's getting a bit more violent. Like I see. So, for example, when I went to college, we had, our Black History Month. We had our Black History, like our Black clubs, that you have. But then I understand that Black history is meant to include everyone. And I'm over here losing my train of thought. So, like, see, that's how that's then you rubbed off on me today.
Okay.
Oh! I'm kidding, but I understand that. Okay, so Black history is definitely a month that's meant to celebrate us, right? But what I see is that because of that, a lot of people, like, we tend to, like, instead of trying to bring us closer to the goal, we tend to try to separate from it. And because I see it in the schools, because even in my college, when we had, our Black clubs and stuff, we used to exclude other people because of it. So I'm like, okay, if we're trying to be, I understand, like, our stories, like, we definitely went through so much, but I feel like we should change the narrative. Like, I feel like as Black people, for us to really see a change, we have to change the narrative. And that's how I feel. Like, as a Black woman in America, like, I try to see the good in people. I try. I'll say that. I try to see it. Even though it's not something that's, feasible, it's not possible right now. But I think that as a Black woman in America, growing up as a Caribbean, I just felt like I wanted to be less division versus, like, we celebrate our culture, but try to include others. Like, show them, like, yo, this is why we're Black and we're proud. And it's not because, like, yo, I'm not gonna try to exclude you from really understanding who I am. Because, like, if you think about it, white people, they, like, literally, they do push us away. But then if you think about it, a lot of the things that they do, they show it off. They show off who they are. They show off who they are in terms of power, whatever. And I feel like if we can change the narrative as Black Americans and literally do the same thing again, it would actually give us a better leeway as Black people growing up in this country. So that's
because, like I said, that's why I say we don't have, as being African American, Black Americans, that we don't have no unity, and I think with that, if we can have some unity, or if we can unite as one, let's say brown skin and color, doesn't matter if you're from the islands, you're from Africa, or you was born here. I think that's where our problem is, that you get the same way you get some Caribbeans or people from Africa, they look down on the ones that's born here, but we have to look at it at the same time. When the white man is looking at us, they're looking at us our skin color. They're not looking at you. I used to tell my kids, I said, listen, they only got 2 boats. They got a black boat and a white boat. They don't have the other boat. They don't. I said, so we ever had to get on the boat, they do not have a other. They're gonna put all us brown people on one and all us white people on one. And I think that's what's wrong with us as being Black Americans, because it goes back to the religion too, because like you get us that's Baptist, you get us that's Christians, and then you get the Muslims. So, and I think they need to unite as one, and then to build that strong foundation or that solid foundation. And then maybe we can get some more leaders that we will back when it comes to representing us. Because right. Yes, you might get some of the, let's say the Caucasians out here that's like, they can understand and relate, but they still haven't really walked in our shoes. Mm-mm.
And they take a lot of pride in, was it divide and conquer? They take a lot of, like, what Caucasians or white Americans, I'll say, like, they take a lot of pride, or they actually, if we're divided like this, they try to force it to be like this. And it's because, we give them that leeway, we give them that that access for them to be able to do that to us, because of the things that when we do to each other. Like, you can't go to DR with someone that has like this skin color and versus someone that is like which I call the melanin goddess, because they, they're like sun-kissed chocolate. I love their skin colors. But when you have those, and then you tell me somebody from DR with this skin color is telling me, yo, I don't want to talk to you, or this, that, and third, just because, so we give them this, and we give white Americans this access. And when we do that, instead of like, okay, us being able to find, our common ground together, to build stuff, to support each other, no, we'd rather tear it down. And Caucasians are taking advantage of that, and it's not helping. It's not helping.
I think that a lot of that stems from when you start looking at the African Americans that's living in, let's say, lower income and poverty. And I think what it is, when we used to just having $1 and you get, let's say, the white man that's going to give us $100, we smell cheese. And so we're going to go be his friend. And I think that's where we're being manipulated at, because of where we live.
Right.
Because let's say the average Black person in middle class or the suburbs, they're not going to be doing some of the stuff that pulls you apart. It's like they have a tendency to say, you know what, I'm going to go in the low income poverty areas, and I can give you $100 and you smiling, but you're making me $100,000. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that's where a lot of it stems from. And that's why we have a tendency of segregating in our own way. And I think that's why we really need to like support more Black leaders that's going to be really there, that we know that's going to be there to help us and not hurt us. And it seemed like it's not getting there. It's just, to me, it seemed like what all our ancestors fought for in the past it's like, wow. And it's so strange, because at one time, us being Black women, we couldn't even vote.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? And to get the younger Black people out to vote, it's like, oh, I'm not going this time. I'm like, right. I'm there. I'm there. I drag my kids. I said, y'all better go. But I know I go because I know at one time it was all about the men. And now to be a African American that can vote woman, my vote means something.
Exactly. Right. And the bad part is we actually don't vote, even though we know it means something. We don't know our civic duties, really, to go out and make somebody that's going to give us representation.
Yes, and that's strange. Like Black History Month, and when I was talking to some of my friends, and it's just so strange that you get some of the Caucasian, as they say, teachers in the school, they was giving out ditto sheets of stuff for Black History Month. Because I asked myself, I said, well, what did you do with your kids? Because I think she only got like 8 kids in her class. She said, I ain't do nothing. I said, wow, you get the white teacher, at least she did some ditto to give to the kids. I said, now, you are an African American teacher. You didn't even go, I've been so busy. I'm like, wow, you've been that busy that you couldn't even do a ditto sheet to tell the kids to color it. So sometimes you get our own people who don't even think about it either. But they be ready to say the government owed them something.
Back on track. Still with our guest here, Lisa Loyal Boyd. Lisa, I know you were just having a conversation with D3. What was the ending that she was saying so we could just jump right on there?
About 4 acres and a mule. And she was saying that some people would say, well, how do we go and get it? And I give her credit, you know, people trying to get those 4 acres and a mule, I could just imagine them fighting or saying, you got more land than I got. You know, you're only supposed to have 4 acres. You got 4.1. So,
listen, that was just a conversation. I don't even think it was something that was in real writing for us to even go and try to get it till this day. So,
you know what I think what it is that you get some, let's say some races, just like you get whites and you get blacks. And I think they own, they say, this land, and they don't really realize that us as being African Americans, we built this land. It's the same way they took it from us, they took it from the Indians, you know? So, and that's the part they don't understand. But I think they know that's why they do what they do to us, because they know that we're not united. So that's why they can go in and do what they do to us.
But they can be upset that we're not united when they're the one that already disenfranchised us by, you know, when you start conditioning our minds to think differently and probably hate on the other person. So that's a lot of years of undoing that we would have to try and fix back. So we're already like far gone. So we can only hope that the newer generation or the millennial that's out here now can pick up, because they have more exposures to stuff that we did not have access to. You know, we didn't have cell phones left and right. We didn't have the internet where we could just hit Google up to find out information. So they have all this wealth of information in their hands right now to make that change that we were once limited. And even us now that can do something about it, I feel that, you know, our mindset is probably like, there's no hope. I'm just living my life. Let me die in peace. Like, you know, nobody's really pushing for that forward movement. Like we had the Martin Luther King, you know, like you had mentioned, the Black Panthers, people who were about that kind of revolution. Like I would want for us to have a bloodless revolution, you know, just standing up for ourselves and saying, hey, at the end of the day, we are humans. We are all humans. Now, I don't know if you've been watching the news to see what's going on with the Ukrainians right now.
Yes, I've been. You know, I got tired of watching it because I started to tear up a little bit, you know, and my thing is, I watched it and I teared up, but then I said to myself, it made me do it like a flashback. And then I had a little flashback when I think about what's been happening to I hope I'm saying a politically correct word, the Asians that was going on in New York with them being beaten and stuff like that. And it was just so strange that how the advertisement about what was going on with them. But when something happened to us, you notice it's totally advertised opposite, because I do feel bad for what happened to them. I swear, I really do. And I do feel bad what happened with the Asians over in New York, but we've been getting abused for a lot of, and they won't advertise that, but their advertisers shooting someone. You know, they'll put that on in 2 seconds, and that's the part that gets me sometime, and that's why I had to turn from it. I said, because you can broadcast that morning, noon, or night what's happening in Ukraine, but at the same time, you don't broadcast what happened to us African Americans morning, noon, and night. You only want to advertise we killed somebody and stuff like that. And that's why I said what this world is coming to is that I think a lot of the younger generations don't understand, because I think the younger, or as you say, the millennium generation need to look at their past to really understand their future. Because when I was raised young, at a young age, because my parents passed away when I was 14, but my grandparents instilled, you know, the Black stuff that happened back then, as well as, you know, we came a long way. And I think with the millennium people or kids these days, I can understand they don't want to hear about what happened, but you need to understand to move on with your future. Yes, I'm not talking about going to beat on a white man now because they hung our ancestors from trees.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you can't trust some of them as far as you can see them. You know, right. You know, they smile in your face. Is this that? But
that part.
Right. So, and that's when I try to tell my sons, I said, you know, at the end of the day, they're only going to give you an inch while they take a yard.
That's what I tell some of the kids too, that we are at a disadvantage no matter how you look at it, because we're most so on a poor side of the spectrum, meaning we lacked a lot of things that the other folks had. Like they'll send their kids to ballet school, they'll send their kids to gymnastics, they'll send their kids to sports. We didn't have parents who could afford that. You had to play that overtime game, and the money went straight for rent and groceries. Like, you did not have the privilege to have what they had. So that, just looking at it from that side alone already shows you the other side is at an advantage, or that's a head start.
Right. And that's why that's why I don't understand why, even though, let's say, the government or whatever, when they make these holidays and parades and stuff like that, that us as African American, we should focus on to make sure, you know, our heritage is advertised and market the same way they can market every other holiday. But now it just seemed like us as one, we don't even market ourselves enough.
But think about it though, Lisa. Would you think it's fair for the other people to be showing us off, or is it really our job to be marketing ourselves? Because they promote them, right? They have the money to showcase their talents, so I think like we can be waiting on them to promote us or show the good side of us, when we should really honestly be doing the work ourselves. But I think, again, some of us are so disenfranchised that we're not thinking at that level. We're not thinking at, maybe some of us do believe that we are less than, based on the attitude and behavior and things we believe in. It shows that whatever they conditioned us with from before is still here. And that's probably why we're not pushing ourselves upward. Like, we may have a sprout of people here and there who gets it. I think that's the one they want to call awakened. But you can't, gravitate towards everybody to make them see the same thing. So I think like we have a longer fight. Our struggle is deeper than any other race. And sadly, with it being in America, if we feel one way, that means the other side feels the same way too, because you're still going to find certain white people that feel that Negroes should still be down. So those people are going to keep passing that down to their generation. And so you see how it's never going to really wipe out. So I think if we could come to that understanding of knowing that let's live to accept facts for what it is, because at the end of the day, if stuff is going to get passed down, you don't know if it's really going to erase and be like, okay, everybody's in unity. Yeah, it's working, but you can't get the whole 100% to jump on board and be like, you know what? That's right, you are equal to me. Yeah, sure, you are equal to me.
And I believe me, I understand exactly what you're saying. That's why I said with the new millennium kids, they need to not forget about their past, because it seemed like white American is trying to erase it with the new millennium.
Right. But we're not passing the message down either. Like, how much are we telling them about what really happened? To be honest, I don't know what took place in the Revolutionary War. I think in school it was just brushed over real quick, and I probably didn't really care for it that much anyway. So I did not, sit together. But now as an adult, I'm sitting here watching Roots. You get tears dropping down your eyes. It makes you angry. It makes you feel like, why do you not see this person as a human? Like, how? What is, so.
Yes, and that's why I said how it's different, because like me growing up in the 60s and the 70s, we was reminded of it all the time.
Did you know about Ruby, since you were around that era? Ruby Bridges?
Who is Ruby Bridges? I don't know.
Ruby Bridges is that Black little girl that when segregation begun, I think she was one of the first kids that went to a white school, and she.
Yes, okay, I know. But see, and we was, like I said, we was taught in school, in church. And I think like a lot of the millennium kids don't go to church. And I think, and when it was like, and back then we had, let's say, Black and white teachers in the school systems when I was going to school. And actually we used to have two. If you had it's like if you had a white teacher, you had a Black teacher, and that's how it went. So they gave us all the knowledge about the Black history. We did the plays, we did the dittos, we read up on it, and it was like instilled in us. I'm saying when I was a child of the 60s, it was instilled in us at home as well as in church and in school. It wasn't, let's say, it wasn't that much in school, but they knew that we had to celebrate these times. And now it seems like the millennium kids don't really care because they keep, and I know some of my son and some of his friends, because they always keep saying, well, Mom, that was back in the day. But some things that happened back in the day, you need to remember them for your future. Because my thing is, yes, if you want to go back in the day, our ancestors was in Africa, basically minding their own business. And I need y'all to remember that. And just like I need you to remember to go vote. We fought a long time to vote. And my thing is, just as well as segregating us in restaurants and bathrooms. And the best one is how everybody want to migrate to the back of the bus and sit back there and chat.
Rosa Parks. And you know what? I think so too, that everything you're saying is exactly correct. But I also think that we have been trained to be so forgiven, to let go. Oh, it was of the past. Get over it, and I feel like, why? Like my people's blood, sweat, and tears so that I could be here today. Like I would not survive if I was in their shoes. There's no way. Like one whip, I'm done. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it don't even have to be the one whip. That if I know that you coming to beat me, I ain't even get to the whip yet. If I know you just coming to beat me, and
I'll be a possum. Play that. I'm done.
Yeah, I know how it is when I got beaten. I learned after the first whooping, because my mother used to always say, whoever hit first to start the fight, that's who they be doing. So like,
that's who they're gonna believe.
One good beating for me, and I ain't the whip. But that's why I say, I try to tell my sons, I said, it's just so strange that I want y'all to remember your answer, because I'm not gonna always be here. And my thing is, if they need you to celebrate it just for them 30 days, 29 days or 28, just do it. Do it. I mean, because we all know that white America is not going to celebrate it. And look how long I said, it took us a long time to get this 1 month. And they ain't putting it in the books just yet. And if they did, we might got 5 pages. And that's it. And then
for that, we have Mr. Carter G. Wilson to thank for even, bringing that up to make it happen. So shout out to Mr. Wilson. And on that note, I just, I feel that for Black History Month, I've said it to as many people who will listen to me. If it's Black History Month, let me have a rent-free month, a work-free month, a chill-free month. Like, just don't bother me for anything, because I'm celebrating me. You should be celebrating me, throwing me parades, just technically a worship, if you want to look at it that way. But I don't think ourselves as Black Americans push for it like that. So we just figured, we get off. We get President's Day off. Maybe.
And everybody, wait a minute. And another thing to note is that I notice a lot of business, even though it's an increase, but a lot of companies are still not doing Martin Luther King. Because
No, I don't know when was the last day I had that time off. No.
They're making some companies giving it, and some companies, what they're giving you is a floating holiday to tell you that you can take it any which way you want. And then some companies is actually giving you the day off. But at the same time, some companies are not giving you off President's Day, where that long time ago used to get off Lincoln and Jefferson is in February. We used to get all those days back in my time.
That's not happening anymore, especially with the pandemic going around too anyways, and people are working from home. They figure, listen, not on our clock. But we are running out of time, but I want to say thank you so much for being with us, Lisa. And on that note, I want to invite you back again for Juneteenth. We didn't mention Juneteenth. People are getting that as a holiday too. So,
yeah, I didn't get that yet, but yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I would love to be back. And if you need some referrals, whatever, I have some friends too. And I would love for you guys to put Sofia, the domestic violence organization that I've been volunteering for the past 14 years, because I would love for you to get her, the founder, on your podcast also.
Wow. You know what? That's a great idea, because next month is Women's Month for March.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely speak with D2 on this and try to bring her on board. So me and D3 can, because domestic violence, that's my thing. That's actually what I did my thesis on in college. And, I'm very big on that. So I would love to meet Miss Sophie. So hopefully you can make that happen for us. So yay. Thank you in advance. Yeah, but before I do let you go, I want to ask you, do you have any last words to say to those who don't find Black History Month significant?
I just want to tell all the African Americans, doesn't matter if you was from Haiti, you from Africa, or you was born here. It does have a significance, because we want our tree or our legacy to go on and on and on. It is important. If you're not getting it in school, get it at church. If you're not getting it there, do it at home. Just make sure you do it for us African Americans. Like I said, Haiti, if you was born in Haitian, you was born African American in Africa, and if you was born African American here in the United States, please give that to your kids to build the legacy for our next generation and our next generation, because this is a big melting pot, and we need to be recognized continuously as African American, Black American, whatever you choose to call us. Make sure it's African American, that we help build this nation and not let the white man diminish or deteriorate us as Black people.
Well said. Amen to that. I totally agree. And I think that we should push to make Black History Month global, because I think it's really just a national holiday. Not every country is about it or celebrates it. So I think it would be kind of nice to have it ringed in everywhere. So hopefully that day will come, where we can say, hey, every country, when February comes around, they're Black and proud, or they supporting the Black and proud. So great to have you on board. For those of you who may have noticed that Miss D3 is not here, she had to jump off, but I'm going to bid you adieu on her behalf, and I know she would love to say goodbye to you guys. So definitely catch me and her on the next episode for sure. So if you are celebrating Black History Month, please celebrate it Black and proud. You had no choice in choosing your color. There's nothing to be ashamed of, to be scared of, to be worrisome of, because you had nothing to do with it. Nobody asked you what color did you want to be, what size did you want to be, what height. You did not have that option. So there's no reason for people to hate on you for something you have no control over. So for that, do not feel some type of way at all, and just cherish all that God-given beauty. Okay, so with that being said,
well,
see you guys next time. Thank you, Lisa. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.